Please turn on the podium mic. Check. Please turn on the podium mic.
Okay. Hi. Once again, good afternoon, everyone. I hope I'm audible to everyone out here. और पास से ठीक है, ठीक है. Okay. Profitable, and more importantly, you would want to know whether it is how we can scale up the business from here on. So I think you will have heard many perspectives on this, many viewpoints, many opinions on this. But the FinTech white paper gives you the real analysis on the basis of the data that we have actually. So this could be your authentic source to know each and everything that you wanted to know about FinTech lending. Now, just a few things that we kind of covered as part of the FinTech, we'll just summarize out here. Now, in terms of the overall size, we can see that roughly half of the FinTech lending book, I would say overall lending on the consumption side, less than 1 lakh, 50% of that is actually comprised by FinTech. That's a phenomenal achievement, I would say. And if you look at the overall, I think that everybody talks about the impact that they have created on the revenue side, but very less actually is spoken about the impact on the financial inclusion. So as you can see here, and these are the numbers that you can really say that yes, this does prove that the FinTech lending has also helped the underserved segments here. So you can see here underserved segments such as NTC, thin, subprime. The penetration of FinTech is much higher compared to the traditional lenders on that particular segment. I think this must be reminding you, and some of you are like old enough to remember how actually NBFC, the traditional NBFCs actually kind of got into the lending scene and kind of identified their segment. Somewhat similar is what we are seeing for FinTech lending as well here. Now there are some concerns with respect to asset quality. And we do see some slippages actually increasing. It's increasing for overall industry as well as the FinTech as a segment. And you do expect when there is a exponential growth, you do expect some slippages to happen. But I would say it's still not, I would say, out of control for sure. So now how did people really respond to all of this actually? What you can see here, interestingly, is that ever since those guidelines from the regulator started to come in, the delinquencies numbers were kind of shooting up. So there is clearly, directionally, people are moving away from the small ticket segment here. So this is how people have responded. You can see that the count-wise volume has actually come down since October here. So over the last 6 months or so, we have seen that the volumes have actually dipped. Right? Now, just to make a sense out of all of this, let's try and understand that is FinTech focused only on, say, an urban segment or a semi-urban? Now, you can clearly see that it's a pan-India phenomena. It's across India. FinTech lending is now, it's like a mainstream lending, I would say now. Yeah. Now, there are some challenges which we must highlight, and especially all of us know that in the absence of, say, a comparable physical infrastructure that traditional lenders have, they do have some challenges on the collection front, and that's coming out from the numbers also that you see here. So the roll forward rates are on the higher side for a FinTech compared to the overall industry in that same segment. But the good thing is that the risk is getting priced. So if you look at the overall ECL and interest rate, the difference is actually positive for FinTech for sure. And that's something, a good part, that it's definitely sustainable right now. However, it is important to realize that in order to scale up, this margin has to increase. And the one way to do that is to reduce ECL, and that's something needs to be done. Now, what we did notice, actually, there was a lot of noise around saying that overall PL as a segment is not doing good, the asset quality is bad. There are a lot of things that you hear a lot there. What we did actually was to dissect that entire book and see that, okay, are there really risk hotspots? And if we can kind of contain that, how will the book really look like? And I think the answers you will get from the FinTech. I don't want to steal the thunder by telling you everything about that. But definitely what comes out clearly is that there are segments where we do see some stress building up. And that's specifically, I would say that segments with having multiple PL at the time of origination. So that as a segment that you can see is really a problem one. I don't have empirical evidence, but what we do see that the spike in the volumes in PL, and if you look at the FNO volumes there, around the same time, you could also see that the spike happened there. So there were concerns with respect to I would say evergreening or overheating, and that's something is a real concern for sure. And I think if we can take care of those small risk hotspots, I think the overall book definitely looks sustainable and likely to be profitable for sure. Yeah. So that's any questions from anyone? We have time for one or two questions. Yeah. Yeah, so what we have done is saying that are the customers coming to take their first PL? So if is the fintech actually creating the PL market or not? So that's if the customer is taking the first PL, that's where it is tagged as first PL. So how many of them are actually first PL? And then from 2 to 4, there is a second one, which is the light blue, and rest all of them where there are more than 4 actually. In the overall in their life that they have taken is the last one there. So that number is on the higher side, which is where the spurious consumption hypothesis starts to build in. It is there. But now if you are kind of getting squeezed between the high ECL and the interest rate, because you can't really take the interest rate to a very, very high level. So you are actually kind of now challenged in terms of how do you maintain that margin? So that the scalability becomes a problem. How do you find that blue oceans again to kind of sustain this momentum? Yeah. Yeah.
So I noticed that a lot of the data must be relating to personal loans, which is the simplest way for fintechs to get in. Is there any data, or do you have any insights on asset-backed or collateralized loans that fintechs may be getting into, either in partnerships with banks or NBFCs? Or
that's a very, very good question, I would say. In fact, one of the limitations of scalability is the fact that the current fintech, their storefront is limited. So right now they're really looking at consumption-based loans, and now obviously they're getting into small ticket business loan as well. But the storefront needs to expand. And now they really don't need to kind of do everything on their own. I think they have already showed the way by getting into partnerships with the existing traditional lenders. I think that needs to extend to other things. And one of the interesting example that we have actually kind of given in the white paper is an example from actually China. So there they have a company called Pingan. In fact, they kind of, what they did is they built certain capacity to do certain type of activity. So every business will have a core activity, but they realized very soon that the same capacity can be leveraged to do many other things. So the kind of journeys that they have created, I think that same journey can be extended to asset-backed also, with all that new things which are coming in terms of ULI that you have heard of now recently. All of that are actually going to, I would say, bring everyone back to the same starting point. So that these are the, I would say, advantages that they will have and get into those segments for sure, yeah. So we have touched that actually in the white paper, yeah. Okay, no. Okay, yeah. I think this is the first study where we have actually recognized that fintech also enable a lot of business. So what we have done, so it's so we do have, like as a bureau, we do work with a lot of lenders. We do have an understanding what segment really fintech collaborate with, say, a particular traditional lenders. And that business is what we are tagging as a fintech enabled there. Yeah, you're right. So LSPs, so now when you look at fintech as a segment, there could be like, they might be playing the role of as a co-lender. So there are different operating models. In fact, the white paper also gives you the size of the different operating model. You can look at what different models such as co-lending is there, where there could be segment where they're just playing the role of an LSP. They're not even getting anything on their books for sure. Yeah. Right. Correct, yeah. So that there is a size that we have given. If you look at the previous slide, you will have that also, sorry. So you have that bifurcation also present. Yeah, you can see that there is a fintech and there is a fintech enabled here. So we have done the split between fintech and fintech enabled, just to kind of recognize the fact that they're enabling a lot of business. And I think that as a segment is going to grow much faster for sure in times to come. Okay, I think we are done. If any more question, or can we wrap up? So I'll just, a small announcement. So the white paper is there. I'll request that if you can visit our booth, ground floor. What's the, G12 and G14. If you can visit, you will get a copy of the white paper. You can get it there. And you can also get to know about other products that we at Experian have here. Thank you very much. Yeah.
So thank you so much for this great session. But I hope all the answers, all the questions are answered perfectly. Thank you so much.